This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Huawei MediaPad 7 Lite. This is your basic Android tablet, not super high on specs, not too bad looking though. Looks a lot like the HTC Flyer, if you remember that from the back here. Aluminum casing, unibody design, plastic over here. 7-inch IPS display, 1024 by 600, which a year ago, well, that would have been pretty good, but now we're looking at 1280 by 800 on something as inexpensive as the Nexus 7, so man, but still a very nice, colorful, sharp display. A lot like the T-Mobile Springboard overall. We're going to look at it now. The Huawei MediaPad 7 Lite should be available soon, according to the company. And pricing, well, yeah, that's a little bit up in the air, but so far it looks like 200 to 250 pounds in the UK, so we're probably looking at something like $300 in the US or more, if it ever comes to the US. This is mostly for our overseas viewers and those of you who love to import tablets, because it's going to be sold primarily in Asia, Europe, and some parts of Latin America. That doesn't mean you won't see it popping up in Expanses, maybe even Amazon.com, and the price may even come down. Because I would say that when Huawei designed this, they had last year's tablet in mind, and the cost of making this shouldn't be too high. I think they've got some leeway. What is the selling point for this tablet? It is the Unlock 3G SIM card slot. It has a full-size SIM card slot. We'll take a look at that right now. Up here on this edge, you can see we have two little plastic doors. One's for your micro SD card slot, and one's for a full-size SIM card slot. Now again, I popped in my AT&T SIM card in here, and all I got was 2G Edge. So this is quad-band GSM, but looks like it's only overseas 3G HSDPA 3.6 megabit. Micro SD card slot right here can work with cards up to 32 gigs in capacity, and you can see right here we have our volume rocker, and that's our power switch. Nice aluminum unibody casing, however not so thin as today's thinnest tablets, but still not a bad looking piece of hardware. Again, the white caps, very reminiscent of HTC's tablet, almost embarrassingly so. Here we have a 3 megapixel rear camera, and this is your speaker right over here. Down here we have the micro USB port, and there's our headphone jack, and it charges over micro USB. Standard 2 amp charger will work with it. It ships with a charger that does not have US prongs, but you can find an adapter pretty easily if you are in the US and want to get this. Nothing on this side right here, and nothing on the top. This corner here, a little hard to see, but there's a VGA front-facing webcam for Skype and video chat of your choice. And here we have a really nice, though not superbly high resolution, 1024 by 600 pixel display. Now that's the resolution of last year's Kindle Fire, of the HTC Flyer. And today we expect to see a little bit more, like 1280 by 800 from some of the better tablets. In fact, even the Nexus 7, which is only $199 starting price for 8 gigs of storage, which this also has a higher resolution display. That said, it looks really very sharp. This is about the nicest IPS panel you could ever expect to see in a 7-inch resolution. Very good viewing angles, sharp, crystal clear, nice colors, pleasant for watching video. So I haven't really hated it despite the relatively low resolution. Obviously the tablet works in both portrait and landscape modes, and it's running Android OS 4.03 Ice Cream Sandwich. No word yet on what it's going to get any upgrades, and you can see the standard interface here for accessing your quick settings as Wi-Fi 802.11bgn single band, not dual band, and Bluetooth 3.0, also has GPS. Now if we look at the user interface here, you can see it's pretty much just stock Android, nothing special going on here at all. And for those of you who are purists, you'll probably appreciate that. In terms of customization and widgets, Huawei has done pretty little to customize it. Again, it's a pretty clean experience. We've got some standard Google widgets going here, just some shortcuts to our applications. Now if we look at what's preloaded here, we have Foxit Reader, which is a PDF reader. Angry Birds is preloaded, Twitter and Facebook. Kingsoft Office, which is an Office viewer only. If we tap here, you can see the full toolbar of things that you can do, but again, this does not create documents. Still handy for viewing though. We have a basic file manager on board, and Zinio is also preloaded. Interestingly, there's a voice dialer here. Something you don't usually see on tablets. And look what else we have here. We actually have a dialer. You don't usually see telephony, that is phone calling, on a tablet, at least certainly not on a US tablet, but here it is on this device. Now, obviously you're going to want to use a Bluetooth or wired headset because holding this to your head would be, well, more absurd than you can imagine. The tablet has a 1.2 gigahertz ARM Cortex-A8 CPU. Again, you don't see too many single-core CPUs, but it feels pretty responsive, probably in good part because it's running a fairly clean build of Android, and Huawei is pretty good at optimizing these things. I would still look at this as one of the, I would call it, old Huawei devices when they made budget devices, and now they're moving into the higher end, like the much anticipated MediaPad 10 Full HD with the 1920 by 1200 display that we hope to review soon. On Quadrant, it scores 1328. That's not going to set any records anymore, obviously. Most products are scoring in the 4,000s to 5,000s these days. On Tutu, 2652. GL Benchmark 2.5, the Egypt 2.1 Classic test, it managed 19 frames per second and 7 frames per second off-screen, compared to in the 50s and the 30s for faster tablets. And the Sun Spider score was 4765, which is more than twice as slow as the average Android product these days. Now that I seemingly have trashed the performance on this, again, it feels just fine when using it. I haven't felt like it was a sluggish device in the least. Still, when you compare it to something like the Nexus 7 made by ASUS for Google right here, $199, thinner, much faster, Tegra 3 CPU, similar footprint. Nexus is going to be a little bit thinner. I think the Nexus is going to trounce the Huawei overall in the market. The one thing that the MediaPad 7 Lite does offer is that unlocked 3G GSM service, but soon it seems that rumors are true. Google may release a 3G Nexus 7 or a 3G 4G Nexus 7, in which case that would be really interesting, to say the least. The tablet does have a few tricks against the Nexus 7, though. It does support MHL via micro USB adapter. No USB host, however, on the tablet. And though Huawei sometimes markets this as a 1080 tablet, well, obviously the display resolution is not that, but it can play 1080p video pretty capably despite the CPU. You really don't need a whole lot of cores going on, just some pretty decent software optimization will do the job. So we're going to test out some trailers now and see how it does. And we'll start out with a 720p video because that more closely matches the resolution of the display. You can hear the speakers while we're doing this as well. And now we're set just about at maximum, not a very loud speaker, but it plays the video absolutely perfectly. And then we'll try out something that's 1080p high profile MPEG 4.
An hour ago, a bomb blew up the Kremlin.
Better sound on this clip, obviously. Higher quality sound helps. We can actually bring the volume down.
Initiated Ghost Protocol. The entire IMF has been disavowed.
So it's doing a fine job.
Now I've been ordered to...
So there you go. For a single-core 1.2 gigahertz CPU, it's perfectly adequate for you in playing 1080p video. Not so bad. And now we'll check out the web browser, and you can see the standard on-screen keyboard. By the way, this has haptic feedback. Nice for this sort of a budget-end tablet, though it's not enabled for the keyboard by default. Now we'll load our own website, Mobile Tech Review. Doing this over Wi-Fi. Pretty quick, a little delay for the ads to load, but that's not so bad. Really, actually pretty good speed. Does a good job. So let's try out a YouTube video using the HTML5 player and see how that goes, and we'll check out our video of the Kindle Paperwhite. So far, no checkerboarding. Pretty good. Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at
I don't know, lip sync is a little off initially. See if it catches up.
It features a side light, not really a backlight though. These lights come from the bottom here, just a little bit, does a lot though, and it's really, well, pretty close to
catching up. Let's pause it and give it a minute to buffer.
Look at it now. The Kindle Paperwhite is Amazon's Paperwhite as e-ink readers go. We're going to look at it now. The Kindle
Yeah, it got a little bit better once it was buffered up, but still there's a little bit of loss of lip sync there on the tablet. Tablet has a 4100 milliamp lithium-ion battery that's sealed inside, and as you'd guess from a CPU that's not all that demanding, it has pretty good battery life. So far we've easily gone through about 2.5 to 3 days with moderate use of the tablet, some web browsing, checking emails, streaming a couple of videos. Not using it super heavy duty. If you do something like use it as a navigation device, then obviously you're going to have to charge it more often, or if you play videos all day long. I would estimate that you should get about 8 hours of video playback out of this though. Tablet has 8 gigs of internal storage and it has 1 gig of RAM. Again, there's a micro SD card slot to expand your storage. It's a fully sanctioned Google tablet, and that means you get all the official Google applications on here. So you can see we have the calendar, we have the Google Play Store, the YouTube player, all of it's on board here. As you might guess, a VGA front video chat camera is not going to take the most stupendous video for you, and that 3 megapixel rear camera is just so-so, so this is not a Shutterbug's dream. At least it does have a camera though in the back, which is something that the Nexus 7 doesn't have in its defense. So that's the Huawei MediaPad 7 Lite Android tablet. Again, mostly available overseas. Not sure we're even going to see this in the US other than through importers. 7-inch Android tablet, 1024 by 600 display, running Android 4.0 on a 1.2 GHz single-core CPU. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.